From Acton Town to Wimbledon, from Brixton to beyond, come love your London with us and sing with us this song. There's no more smog, but we've a vlog to brighten up your day. Come love your London with us from Kew to Haringey. Come out with us and play. Love your London. Have a banana. Hello everyone, look where we are, Acton Town, but we're not, this is where we started our whole journey. We're not actually going to be getting off here. We're staying on the train. This is the Piccadilly line. We're staying on here all the way to Alperton. So we've done Acton Town, we've done Aldgate and Whitechapel, we've done also Alexandra Palace to Muswell Hill. Check out our playlist if you haven't seen those episodes. Now we're going to Alperton, and by Alperton we're meaning the whole area around Alperton, but also including Stonebridge, Monk's Park, or Tokington, whatever you want to call it, but most of the locals call it Monk's Park. South Wembley as well, that sort of area. Hanger Lane. It's going to be really exciting. So can't wait to show you. We're on the Piccadilly line. We're going to Zone 4. In today's episode, you are going to be amazed at what lovely Alperton has to offer. With its unbelievable Hindu temples and amazing culture, you will be forgiven for thinking you are in deepest Rajasthan. We have a lot of fun in this episode, but we start, as we always do, with some information about the local station. So, as you can see, we are on the Uxbridge branch of the Piccadilly line. That's not the part that's open 24 hours on a weekend. That's this bit. Unfortunately, no disabled access at all. If you are a wheelchair user, if you are a wheelchair user, you have to go on, get off at Sudbury Town, which is the next stop. Unfortunately, there's no toilet either. Nothing at all. There's no disabled toilet either, but there's no toilet for non-disabled. There's nothing at all. Will this change one day? Well, there are plans to sort of slowly start upgrading the network to make them more accessible and more toilet friendly. But at the moment, Alperton's not on that list. We will be seeing one later that is. Okay, so we are on the westbound platform at the moment. Annoyingly, there's something I want to show you on the eastbound platform. So we're going to have to bring our bike over to the eastbound platform just to show you this. This is the sort of thing we do to entertain you. Right, so back in the old days, older viewers will remember that there used to be wooden escalators all over the network, but then there was a horrible fire in 1987 in King's Cross. Since then they decommissioned all the wooden escalators. So I'm trying to get my breath. Oh, sorry about this.
Just have a huge heave.
You may hear some heavy breathing.
You can't get the air through that mask.
Oh. Okay, so what happened is that most of them got decommissioned. There were two. This was one of them. The last one to be used was actually in Greenford. Greenford had a wooden escalator until I think 2004, but that got replaced with a metal one. Now, funnily enough, here in Alperton, this is also one of the very few stations that had escalators going from street level up to the platform, because we're actually above the street level here. But here, behind this red door, we can't actually go in, unfortunately. No one can go in. But behind that red door there is a time capsule. The original wooden escalator is there. All with like the original sort of like advertising and stuff after it was decommissioned at the end of the 80s. Now, that escalator actually wasn't built for here. It was built for the Dome of Discovery in 1951 for the Festival of London. The Queen Elizabeth II has ridden on it. I'm not actually sure if she's ridden on it here or ridden on it on the South Bank. I imagine it's probably on the South Bank. But Queen Elizabeth II has ridden on this wooden escalator because now it's the last wooden escalator in the country. There is still only a couple of wooden escalators left. There's one in Macy's in New York City, St Anna's Tunnel in Antwerp is another remaining wooden escalator, but this is the last one in the whole of the UK, and it's there for posterity. So hopefully it's been listed, and hopefully if they ever do decide to move it, it will be moved sympathetically into some museum, but hopefully it will just stay here, because this is really important. Anyway, so there you go. Isn't that exciting? This station actually opened in 1903, and it was called Perivale Alperton. In 1910 it was renamed Alperton as it is now, and there is another station called Perivale somewhere else, which we'll be seeing when we get to P. Now the name Alperton comes from the Anglo-Saxon name Albrecht. Well, you'll see that come up. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. Tun obviously is Old English for town, village. So this is basically a village built up around the farmstead of someone called Albrecht. This is a really good place for a village. The village it is on the river Brent. This actually whole area is called Brent. It didn't used to be called Brent. There used to be two different boroughs, a borough of Willesden and a borough of Wembley. And the word Brent itself comes from the Celtic goddess Brigantia. And Brigantia has actually given her name to Bregenz in Austria, where we've been. We were there on holiday not that long ago. And Bragança in Portugal. So, wow, Brent should be twinned with Bragança or Bregenz. But it's not. It's actually twinned with South Dublin for some reason, which is a shame, because it's a real missed opportunity there. Just imagine all the little jollies that the mayor of Brent could be having by going to Bragança in Portugal, Bregenz in Austria every year. Talking of the mayor of Brent, we're going to be meeting the mayor later on. That's a little secret, something to look forward to. Won't be in this episode, but it's coming up very shortly, and that's going to be very exciting because it's the new mayor, brand new mayor. We are here in Alperton, and the one important thing, the one standout feature of Alperton for visitors coming here is religion. Now, in the 2011 census, almost half of Alpertonians classed themselves as Hindu. We haven't had the results yet of the 2021 census. We've just filled it out ourselves not that long ago, but it may well be over 50%. We'll have to wait and see. And here in Alperton there are, I mean, we've all heard of Southall, which has got a massive Indian community. This, in a way, I prefer this to Southall. It's much more compact, much more sort of friendly, more going on, and there are some most beautiful temples that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at one very shortly, but it is absolutely fantastic. Now here's a little photo of Sharon in Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer, absolutely lovely. We were there in 2017. We went on a 2-month tour all around India. Jaisalmer was probably the standout of all the places we visited. If you look at the yellow limestone on this photo, which is very typical of Jaisalmer, the next thing you're going to be seeing is going to be very, very familiar. Now, isn't that breathtaking? This is the Shree Sanatan Mandir. And as you'll see, it looks very, very familiar when you look at the photos of Jaisalmer. This yellow limestone.
Yeah.
It's also known as the Shri Vallabh Nidhi Mandir. So outside, as you can see, you have the yellow limestone, which is from Jaisalmer. A real feeling of Rajasthan here. And inside, the stone is a pink Bansi Pahapur, which is also from Rajasthan. According to the Shiva Shastras, all Hindu temples like this have to be built to a certain way, using certain materials, no steel reinforcements at all. So there's no steel reinforcements here, it's just stone on stone. And this is based on the scripture. So all Hindu temples have to follow these rules. All masonry has to be self-load bearing. And the only metals allowed are copper, silver and gold. There is in fact some gold, as you can see, gold plated right on top up there. So this measures 20,900 square feet, and there are 11 inner temples, and there are 41 deities in here. 41.
Sorry, I got that a little bit wrong. There's 41 marble statues, all carved out of Indian marble, and they honour 11 different deities, namely Ganesha, Swami Narayan, Amba Matajim, Simantara, Radha Krishna, Shri Ram Darbar, Shri Srinathji, Shri Tirupati Balaji, Shri Shiv Parivar, Shri Jalaram Bappa, and of course Hanuman, or Shri Hanumanji, to give him his more respectful title. We would have been returning to India for our holidays this year were it not for this terrible pandemic. But since many of us are staycationing this year, you can really get a pretty good feel for India by visiting Alperton and this temple in particular. It was built and hand-carved, as we said, from limestone from Jaisalmer and opened in 2010, taking 14 years to build, piece by piece. It is as breathtaking as many of the wonderful temples that we visited on our travels around Rajasthan. Incidentally, if India is on your bucket list, you must take a detour to visit Jaisalmer. Please feel free to contact us for any tips. This was a view from our hotel window, and we had such a lovely time there, and it's a really, really fun town. Now, sadly, the one thing that we cannot do in Alperton is go on camel rides, which we did do in Jaisalmer, as we went on an excursion through the desert towards the border with Pakistan, chasing a sunset. But hey, Alperton is almost the next best thing. Anyway, let's have a closer look at this temple. It is open at the moment, but only for darshan between the hours of 9 AM and 6 PM. What is darshan, you ask? Well, basically, that's the opportunity to visit a holy man, or in this case, one of the many deities that I mentioned earlier. We decided not to go inside with our cameras because our reasons wouldn't be entirely darshan related, and, well, it just didn't seem that respectful. But once the pandemic is over, please do pop inside. Nothing terrible is going to happen to you. Neither of us is religious, but that doesn't mean that we're not welcome. The name Shree Sanatan actually translates as all-inclusive. So in other words, it's non-sectarian and it's open to all. Basically, if you see the word Sanatan in a temple name, you know that it's going to be very open to all comers.
Let's just carry on.
Yep. As you can see up there, Paan House. Panachand, Paan House. There's another one over there. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about Paan. Now, the word Paan, you'll often see it spelled P-A-A-N, especially in Aldgate, where we had our earlier series. But here in Alperton, we see it more often with just P-A-N. Paan actually means leaf in Sanskrit. Parna comes from the Sanskrit parna. In fact, that's where we get the English word fern. It comes from parna, the Sanskrit word. Leaf, also in Calor, the language spoken by Spanish and Portuguese gypsies, they have the word parné. Parné means money, dough, and it comes from the same origins. Parné is also is used in Spanish street slang as well, not just used by the Spanish gypsies. You'll know that you're in an area where it is very popular because you'll see a lot of red spit everywhere, as you'll see right now. And it's basically what it is it's a stimulant. So inside they have a little bit of nut. It's not the Betel nut, although people call it Betel nut. It's not, nothing to do with the Betel nut. It's actually the areca nut. And that is often mixed with tobacco, not always with tobacco, and some spices. So then sometimes they put some lime on there to get the saliva going, and people chew it. And then they often it often does affect their teeth and their gums. It creates this very, very red liquid that then you have to spit out. It sounds disgusting to our Western ears. The Paan is a very, very important part of the local religion. The Betel leaf itself is used to worship the gods. So every single Vedic event includes Paan, basically. In the puja, or the Hindu rituals, it's a really, really integral part of the ceremony. Supposedly, the gods created Paan when they churned the oceans looking for ambrosia. And there's lots and lots of different rituals and routines. The leaf has to be fresh. It mustn't be broken at all. And all parts of the leaf mean different things.
Oh, it smells good in here.
It's fine. Okay, sure. Get to the pan mix.
Oh, this is that mixture that they're using. Yes.
So this is the sweet pan mix. I'll get thumbs up. Do you want a thumbs up?
Sure, thumbs up.
Okay.
Oh, thumbs up cola.
Open. Yeah, because I'm going to talk about it.
You want to go back outside?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, we've just bought a pan, which is ready-made. But I want to talk to you first of all about the leaf itself.
It's not people leaf, is it?
No, this is Betel.
It is Betel, so it comes from the same tree that the nut comes from.
No.
Oh, it's a different one.
No, that's where people get confused. That nut that's inside is not the Betel nut. That's the Areca nut.
Okay.
The reason why it's so wet is because that is really, really important. It must always be wet. It must not be dry.
It can't dry.
It can't dry. Now, so the Shukra and the Indra reside in the leaf's top portion, which is up here. The tip actually signifies longevity. Now the goddess Saraswati is present in all that middle part there. The lower tip here is occupied by the goddess Mahalakshmi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. That's that whole lower tip area. So the part that bridges the Betel leaf to the stem, as you can see, has been cut off. Now the reason for that is because that is home to the Jyesta Lakshmi. Now Lakshmi is a goddess of wealth, and that's why that part shouldn't be eaten. And some Hindus say you should never chew that middle part either. It's actually taboo. Now Lord Vishnu himself actually lives in the whole of this leaf. All around the outside you've got Kamdev and Lord Shiva. They inhabit sort of like on the outside part of the leaf. On the left hand side of the leaf you've got Mangalya Devi and the goddess Parvati. She's on the left hand side, or he is both, isn't it, Parvati? And on the right hand side you've got Bhumi Devi. I really apologise to our Indian viewers for our very poor Hindi here, but Bhumi Devi lives here on the. Let's just call Bhumi Devi Mother Earth, because that's who she is basically. Mother Earth lives here on the right hand side of the leaf. All around the leaf you've got Lord Suranayana.
Drying out.
It's drying out. I know. I'm really, really sorry. It is quite addictive if you use it often. We don't use it often. In fact, this is my first time. So, and don't worry, I'm not going to be doing it
we're doing it. This is an educational channel after all.
It is an educational channel, but basically, it does make your gums go a bit weird.
It can really injure your mouth.
Yeah, you can. Only funny enough, I mean, it supposedly causes cancer of the mouth and tooth decay. It definitely does cause tooth decay. But the strange thing is, according to Ayurvedic medicine, they believe that it actually prevents oral cancer. But in order to prevent oral cancer, you need to boil the leaves in hot water with honey and drink the liquid every day. So as you can see, they gave it to us in this lovely little. This only cost £1, by the way. Would be a lot cheaper if I did it myself.
Oh boy.
So as you can see, this
Can I have a taste of it?
Of course, yes. So this has got all the different spices in there.
I've washed my hands. My mask.
Okay.
Can you pull my mask down? Just pull it under my chin. That's it. Cha-cha. I'm gonna wash my hands again after this.
Have it with some leaf as well. Got to have it with some leaf.
I'm not doing this right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
He's looking for a hoodie.
So as you can see, we're here by the Wembley Gospel Hall, and as you can see on the front, you've got there instructions, welcome instructions in Gujarati, and it just shows, I mean, and also just to show how integrated the local population is with the local cultures and religions as well. They don't only practice Hinduism here. We actually can see now here a sign asking people not to spit their Paan juice beside the church because of COVID-19. It's more important than ever for people not to spit, but you will see signs all over the place asking people not to spit. We may find here in the West a little bit odd, but this just basically shows just how integrated the local population is, that the local gospel church,
talk louder, mate.
the local gospel church has this sign up as well, because it's just an amalgam of different cultures.
And, yeah. Flappy arms, you can't do that when you're on a pavement. You've hit 2 people already.
There is also a fairly large Muslim community here, although nowhere near as the size of the Hindu community. So here we have the Central Mosque Wembley, which is also known as Wembley Central Masjid. And next door to it we have another temple. This is a Shiva temple. This is the Ilapathaswarar temple, or the Ilapathaswarar Alayam, to give it its full title. And this, obviously, as the sign explains there, this honours the deity of Shiva. It's a Shiva temple. And right opposite we have this lovely building here. This is another temple. This temple here honours Sai Baba. Now I can tell you a little bit about Sai Baba. This temple, this Hindu temple, is dedicated to Shirdi Sai Baba, who was the incarnation of Lord Shiva and Dattatreya. It's a very small temple run by an elderly gentleman. You'll often catch bhajans. Bhajans are songs being sung in here. It's really quite beautiful. So when you go in, you should say Om Sai Baba. That's the best greeting. Now Sai Baba is a very interesting man. Well, I say man, he became a saint. He died in 1918. And the funny thing is, it's not actually clear whether he was Muslim or Hindu. In fact, he didn't identify as either. He was just a religious man, which means that he is actually revered by both Muslims and Hindus equally. He was actually very, very much against distinction based on religion or caste. And you'll actually see his name. If you've gone to Mumbai, you'll see his name all over the place. And here, now in Alperton as well. Now, absolutely everyone loves Sai Baba. He's also revered by the Zoroastrians as well as the Muslims and the Hindus. And although I personally am not a religious believer, I've got quite a lot of time for him, because he was very anti-sectarian and all that sort of thing. And he wouldn't have actually minded at all the fact that I'm not religious. That wasn't what he was about. That's just how he rolled.
So, Om Sai Baba, there he is. There is Sai Baba. I'm not going to go in because that's...
Om Sai Baba.
Om Sai Baba. I don't think we should go... And if you want to go in quickly, but it's because it's COVID, I don't think...
Yeah, it's probably not. No. Yes, we're on the bikes and it looks like we've caused a traffic jam. I'll move this now. Sorry, is this in the way?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine, mate.
No one's in the way, alright. You're losing your diaper.
Okay, I'll sort that out now.
Okay.
Okay.
Continuity, branding, continuity.
I know.
The diaper is coming up. Oh boy.
So here we are at the Arumihu London Nadarajar Temple. Now this is actually a Tamil Hindu temple. Instead of a temple, you'd really call it a Tamil Kovil, which is basically it's a South Indian temple, as opposed to some of the other ones we've been visiting. Now there is also, as well as the Tamil temple, there's also a Shiva temple in here as well. This is lovely. We just went inside, and the priest in there gave us some prasad, a little offering, food.
Oh, well, do we give that to the gods, or do we have that? I think we're meant to give that to the gods.
I'm not sure.
Prasad is for them. It's not for us.
Okay.
Can you ask him?
No, he said eat.
Oh, okay, for us to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll eat it. I'll try it.
I'm not sure.
Prasad, I thought was to give to the offering to.
It is. Actually, talking about offering and giving, this is actually probably a good chance to say that we are doing this for you, and we really need to. Yeah, you know what's coming now.
It's beggary time.
Well, it's beggary time. Basically, if you do want to support us financially, we've got an account on Patreon. We've got 2 lovely patrons already, maybe more by the time that this goes live. But the other way that you can support us, if you don't want to support us financially, and obviously times are hard, so I understand that completely.
Watch the arm flapping.
The other way that you can support us.
You have to say that again. Sorry. Say it again. You just hit that guy in the head.
Well, that's funny.
No, it's not.
So the other way that you can support us is by sharing this video, sharing all our videos, subscribing to our channel, hitting that little notification bell. Listen to this new sound, and liking our videos, sharing them. You know what to do. You've done it before. Just do it. So we are here at Wembley Central Station. Welcome. This there's actually been a station here. It didn't look anything like this, of course, since 1842. It's a really old one. About 10 years ago, they pulled the station down. It wasn't even that station, it was a newer station. Pulled it down, built this really lovely square. They've really changed this area. It's good. It's for the better, actually. I know normally I'm against regeneration, but this is actually a really nice social space. So this is on the Bakerloo line as well as the National Rail and the Overground. Now what this means is that you can travel to Harrow and Wilston on the National Rail or the Bakerloo line, and you can go from Watford Junction or to Euston on the Overground, and you can go to Elephant and Castle on the Bakerloo in the other direction. You can even go to Shepherd's Bush on the National Rail. So it's extremely well connected. Enough, even though it's so well connected, it's not a busy station at all, even in rush hour. The only time it really gets busy is obviously on match day, because we're really close to Wembley Stadium. But it's not really a big commuter station, to be honest. This station has disabled access. Yay! And it has toilets as well. Yay! And the toilets themselves are accessible, so triple yay. So this station is actually in zone 4 as well, just like Alperton was. There is another station just up there called Wembley Stadium, but we're going to deal with that when we do our Wembley episodes, which is going to be quite a bit later on. We're going to be doing episodes much more closer to Wembley Stadium itself, not in this particular series. But this Wembley Central is very much in the environs of Alperton, so that's why we've come here.
Next time on Love Your London.
And we're going to be here at the Ace Cafe. This is the legendary Ace Cafe, and it's going to be a really good episode. We're going to speak to Mark Wilsmore, we're going to speak to the new Mayor of Brent, and we're going to be shown around the inside of this place. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait for you to see it. We're just here, just taking some establishing shots to help Sharon do her drawing, which is going to be available after the next episode is live. So yeah, look out for that. Should be coming your way very soon.
If you thought today's episode was temple-tastic, there's more of this sort of stuff coming, so don't forget to subscribe. Till next time. From Acton Town to Wimbledon, from Brixton to beyond, love your London, have a banana.